This is Katie, co-host of Coffee with Keith and Katie. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
This is Sam Kirby, host of Cinema Stories here on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you're done with this episode, I hope you'll come check out my show, Cinema Stories, where we hang out and just talk movie and TV news and reviews, and it's awesome. A new show comes out every single Tuesday. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you never miss an episode of Cinema Stories. Thanks again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Today's verse of the day comes from Romans 8:18. I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. Good morning and welcome to the Verse of the Day podcast here on Public House Media. I'm your host, Baxter Colburn. Thanks for spending some of your day here with us at Verse of the Day podcast. We've had a lot of great verses through the first few episodes so far on Verse of the Day. If you haven't had a chance to listen to them, you can go back and catch previous episodes on iTunes and on the phmedia.com. Just to give you a quick recap, we talked about Psalm 5:3 earlier this week, Jeremiah 29:11, and then yesterday we talked about Proverbs 8:13. Today we are in Romans 8:18. The verse for you one more time. I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. Hear me on this, friends. We are all going to go through tough times and trials in our life. There is not one person in this entire world that has it all together. I don't care what you see on Facebook. I don't care what you see on Instagram. I don't care how they even come off at church. Nobody's perfect. No life is without sin. No life is without trial and tribulation. Now, this isn't me coming at you today trying to be a Debbie Downer. I'm being honest because we have to go through tough times in order to see what God has planned for us. I have a perfect example of this. Back in May of 2017, I moved on from a job that I considered was to be my dream job. I loved everything that I was doing. I was working in my field, but it came with a lot of downsides. I had a boss that was very passive-aggressive, that was very difficult to work for. I had to work over 14, 15 hours every single day. I had a newborn at home that I barely got to see during the week. And even on the weekends when I had off, I was still thinking about what was to come on that next Monday or Tuesday. Friends, it got to be so much. It paid really well, and I was able to provide for my family, but my wife and I decided that it just needed to stop. I needed to get out of that. By doing that, however, that sent us into a 8-month trial that I will never forget. From going to be fully employed to not being employed to finding a new job that I thought would be the answer, to finding out that job wasn't the right answer, to my wife having to go back to work for the first time in a year. She was staying at home with our son after he was first born. She wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. That's her life dream, is to be a stay-at-home mom and raise our children. And she was able to do that for the first year. But the season that we got put into was very difficult, very trial-filled. If one thing wasn't going right, then another thing would go wrong. As soon as we would, put some tape on this hole over here, then another one would burst from over there. As soon as we thought we paid one medical bill off for this, then all of a sudden we would get charged with an overdraft fee for this. It just never stopped, friends. But it did. It finally did. After a season, friends, of over 7.5, 8 months, pieces started falling back together. And it can happen to you too. It can happen to all of us. My wife and I took the time to pray, to get plugged into our church, to spend time trying to figure out what God wanted, because, boy, it's so frustrating going to bed every night, not knowing what the next day held, praying, not even for good things, just for something bad not to happen. That's really what it felt like for such a long time. But we overcame that, friends. My wife and I, we bonded together. We surrounded ourselves with positive people, and we beat that trial. Not by our own merits, but because we trusted in God, because we stopped trying to solve that worldly problem, and we gave it to the Lord, and it worked, and He listened to us, and it is so relieving to know that the trials that we've been facing the last 8 months are over. Friends, what trials are you going through in your life right now? Maybe it's something you've already gone through. Maybe your life is great right now. And if that's the case, I totally commend you, and I'm so thankful for that. But if you're going through something difficult right now, and our definitions of trials are different, everybody has something different, from losing a job to being a difficult trial to maybe your sibling isn't talking to you as much as they used to. Maybe you've had a falling out with a sibling. Maybe something's not right at work. Maybe your car just won't start as often as it used to. I don't know. Maybe you can't find your favorite pencil to do your homework with at night. Everybody's got something, whether it's big or small. How you respond in tough times is very defining of who you are. How many times, though, honestly, ask yourself this question: how many times during your difficult season, during your trial, did you stop and pray? I'll be honest, I didn't do that a lot for the first few months. I said I was going to. In my mind, I thought it. But I didn't take the time to be intentional, to ask God, what's going on? What's your plan? What's your plan with all this, God? As soon as I started to listen, as soon as I felt it, as soon as I could feel that I was handing off my trial, my burden to God, saying, Lord, I know my human nature, my worldly views will not fix this problem. I can apply to all the jobs I want, but funny story, the job that I am now in is not a job I applied for. Somebody came to me and offered me a job. It's funny how that works, isn't it? I was trying to solve the problem my way, and then God sent somebody along and presented me with an opportunity, presented my wife with an opportunity. Now we both are thrilled to be in the job field once again, trying to help those around us. I want to read a little bit farther down fast for you in Romans 8. We're still here in Romans 8. Romans 8:25. But if we hope for what we do not have yet, we wait for it patiently. My wife and I struggled with patience significantly during that 8-month period of just pure hell. That's what it felt like for us. Our relationship as a whole, as a married couple, struggled for several of those months. Numerous times we kept looking at our bank account saying, I don't know how we're going to pay these bills. I don't know if we're going to have a place to live next month. As soon as we started to give it over to God, friends, everything started clicking. I have zero way to explain how all of our bills have been able to get paid for these last 8 months. I've been in and out of work. My wife has been in different things. We've done our very best as worldly humans to try to fix the problems. But somehow all of our bills got paid. And they continue to still be paid. And now that we're both back in the full-time work field, things are going to be taken care of, and we will be able to be in a much better place. It's not all about the money. I don't want you to think that this is all about the money, but for us, that was our struggle. We were struggling to pay our bills. That was a trial, and that was, all due to not having consistent work. Whatever your trial is, whatever you are going through, give it up. Give it up to God, and then wait patiently. Do not question the Lord's timing. I thought numerous times throughout this 8th month period that I knew what was going to happen, that I had solved it, that look at Baxter, he has figured it out. And then I would fall flat on my face. Disappointed, humiliated, confused, and lost. But I fixed it because I gave up. I gave it all up to God. And I said, Lord, I don't know what you want me to do. I don't know where you want me to go. I don't know what you want me to do. I don't know who I need to be for your glory. I don't know who I have to go and talk to, who I need to serve in your name. But please, please do it. Please take me where you need me. And he did. Friends, the power of God is so amazing. Your present sufferings will not define you. They will make you a better person for the future. How can you use that current trial or that past trial to not only help yourself be better today, but how can you help somebody else? Because I guarantee you, somebody's going through something similar right now that you have either gone through or just are currently going through as well. Help each other out, friends. Come together. Be a sounding board. Be quick to listen, slow to speak. Remember we talked about yesterday with that, Proverbs 18:13. Utilize the gifts God's given you. Good times will come after hardship. Your verse one more time today. Romans 8:18. I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. You might be going through something tough right now. If it is, stop, pray about it, and say, God, what do you have planned for me next? What are you trying to show me? How can I be used to help others around me and to be used for your glory? You might not like the answer. It might surprise you. But if you truly believe and you truly give up your worldly views, your human views to God and say, all right, I wash my hands of this. I'm going to do what you want me to do, God. You will be blessed, friends. You will be blessed. You've been listening to the Verse of the Day podcast hosted by Baxter Colburn on Public House Media. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you never miss an episode of Verse of the Day. It comes out 7 days a week, 365 days a year. The podcast can be found by subscribing on Google Play Podcasts and wherever good podcasts are found. More information about Verse of the Day podcast can be found by going to thephmedia.com.